Hello guys, welcome to our channel Legal Nexus. In this video, we explore the concept of false imprisonment under law. False imprisonment is a civil wrong and also criminal offense where a person is unlawfully restrained against their will. False imprisonment is defined as the total restraint of liberty for, however, shorter time without lawful justification, explanation. The period of total restraint may be even for a very short time. The restraint may either be physical, applying force, or by mere showing of authority. Place of imprisonment. There should be boundary in all cases of false imprisonment. The boundary may be large or narrow, visible or invisible, movable or fixed. There are two essentials for false imprisonment: complete deprivation of liberty and unlawful detention. Complete deprivation of liberty. To constitute the tort of false imprisonment, there need not to be actual imprisonment. If the injured person's liberty to move direction is completely deprived, then it is sufficient to constitute the tort of false imprisonment. There need not to be actual physical force to deprive the liberty. Bird versus Jones is the example for this statement. A portion of a bridge was filled with seas to see a boat rise. Bird attempted to go along the part of the footpath and climbed over the fence and go into the enclosure without paying the charges. Jones pulled him back and placed two policemen by his side to prevent him from climbing. However, policemen gave Bird permission to go back, but Bird refused to go back and remained there for half an hour. It was held that there was no false imprisonment because the liberty to move for Bird was not completely deprived. It was only a partial restraint. Unlawful detention. If detention is lawful, then there is no false imprisonment. So the detention must be an unlawful order. Maharani of Nabha versus Province of Madras is the important case related to unlawful detention. A police officer prevented the Maharani of Nabha from boarding a train by misunderstanding a message sent to him. He prevented the Maharani from going out of the railway compound, held that there was no false imprisonment because the detention period was reasonable and the Maharani was not confined or restrained by only her liberty in the convenience was restricted. Under the Customs Consolidation Act 1876, the customs officer were empowered to detain a person who harbored or kept or concealed any prohibited or uncustomed good. A wrongful arrest by a private person or by a public officer constitute false imprisonment. Defense available for false imprisonment. Lawful detention. When there is some justification for detaining the person, then there is no false imprisonment. The second point is implied consent. If there is implied consent, then the defendant is not liable for false imprisonment. The third point is lawful arrest of a person. If law permits the arrest of a person when such person was committed some offense, then it is not false imprisonment. Garikpati versus Arsa Bhiksha. The defendant made a false complaint against the plaintiff to the police and on the basis the plaintiff was arrested, but since the charges was false, he was discharged. The court held that the defendant is liable for having made a false complaint without any lawful justification. The last point is Judicial Officer Protection Act 1815. This act grants protection to judicial officer for any act done or order to be done by them in discharge of their judicial duties. A person arrested by the order of a judicial officer cannot sue the judicial officer for